I'm the Brick Pie, and today we're gonna haul some things from A to B and sort them into a shelf or whatever. So grab a drink of your liking, take a seat by the fire, and enjoy. This is the MouldKing 13106 forklift, which kind of describes the set perfectly. It's got 1,719 pieces and list price, depending on where you buy it, around 120 to 130 euro. We are at roughly 1.5 kilogram of weight, but we have 5 big motors in there, so I really do not deem it fair to judge this set on weight compared to other sets, so I'll most likely ignore that, because that would be just about a bit more than 1 cent per gram, and that is really not fair. It's about 7 cents per piece, which is on the more expensive side for a Technic set, but since it is motorized and all of that, it's okay, it's fine. So before we get to the set, we'll look at the box as per usual. So we've got the box with a couple of features on the back side, wheel information on the side, on the other side, all the motorized things, and trusty safety instructions on the bottom. So let's get that out of the way. We get a few spare pieces, really nothing fancy, a couple of pins, screwdriver, charging cable, remote control, we'll need that in a moment, and our instruction. And my arch nemesis. Sharp eyes might notice I've actually used some of these stickers. These are the only stickers I am truly grateful for having, because these are the ones that allow me to numberize or to sort the engine cabling or motor cabling. So these are fine, these are useful stickers, so I'm fine with these. The rest of that is unnecessary, to say the least. And I am a bit disappointed that I still get that at a 120 euro set at MouldKing. So yeah, let's quickly dispose of that before sticking with that too long. But the instruction, typical MouldKing Technic instruction. One thing that I'm not that fond of is they do not show the cabling. You see that quite clearly on this picture. They show you the motor that you're supposed to insert, but the cabling is completely up to you. Means if you build that set, you are better off like skipping a few pages to the later part, and then there is one picture where they show you how you're supposed to have all the cables run. I can't find it now. But it is relatively far back. And if you haven't done the cabling correctly at that point, you'll end up taking half your set apart again. So whenever you are building in a motor, maybe skip a few pages or 50 pages ahead and look what things will be built around there and in which direction and all of that, and where should you maybe put the cabling so it's not in the way later. But apart from that, typical MouldKing instruction, no issues going through that, and that is great, which leaves us with the main attraction. We get a little bit of like a sample palette, just whatever, just for you to train with, and then we'll have the set. Before we continue with the video, a few words, if you may allow. As you might know, I've been affected by flooding this year in fall, and what you see ahead of me are the ruins of 3 of my most precious brick sets and a small Lego Christmas tree, because Christmas is ahead. What I'm trying to say here is this crisis affected thousands, tens of thousands of people, and I've been lucky enough to have such a massive support in all of my environment, from friends, family, co-workers, and many other people, that I want to use this small little platform to say thank you for all the people who've helped in a crisis like this, who are constantly helping people in need all around the world. You are amazing. So I just want to use that and say thank you to all of those people that are constantly helping those that need this help the most. And this year, I was one of them who needed it. So, from the depth of my heart, thank you. Finally, a few words about my, let's call it setup. I am still in the process of rebuilding everything. You can probably still the dirty window up there and all of that, and this is obviously not the table, and this is where my shelf used to stand. Many things are still subject to change and will take many weeks and months. I've also not been able to rebuild my entire setup for equipment, speaking about like sound and all of that. So the sound of this video is most likely awful because I am recording it straight up on my phone. So please apologize. It will get better in the future. I have a microphone, I have not set it up yet, and all of that will come in the future, and I will continue making videos. Right behind that camera is the first delivery of a few that I managed to grab on Blue Week, Black Week, and all of the other sales weeks this fall. So I am really hyped about 2025 and all the challenges that will await all of us next year. So thank you for the massive support over this year. This channel with just about like 15 videos grew from, I think, 30 subscribers to 140 as of now, which is way more than I would have ever imagined. The fact that the Blaustein video got way more than 2,000 views and others jumped the 1,000 view mark, which is again way more than I would have ever imagined to happen within the first like 50 videos or something like that. So again, thank you very much for that. And I'm really hyped for 2025. I'm wishing all of you Merry Christmas and a great start into 2025. And that is me finally being done talking, but I kind of had to stretch it out a little bit before I could hand you all back to the real star of that video, because the real star of that video is standing right at that corner charging its batteries. Because the real pro that I am forgot to charge the batteries before starting the video. Luckily, you don't have to wait, so have fun and enjoy the video. So back from the charging break, here we are to try it out. So this is what you all want to see. It is remote control. Still waiting for that to fall off the table. I have not managed that before. As you can see, it does slip a lot. This might be because the table is really flat, or it might also be because the tires are very dusty, because it is very dusty in here still. When I started driving around with it, it did not slip that much, but depending on what surface you're driving this, it might be slipping if you pull the wheels in its maximum angle. We can also obviously pull that up, and it does go up quite a bit. That's the maximum. We can tilt that from there up to that. That is the one thing. If you build that, make sure that everything you build up front here really fits perfectly, because that happened to me 2 or 3 times now. It's not really the design, but it's me having built it clumsily. So if you do not really pay maximum attention, that is what's going to happen, and it's going to happen at like two specific spots. But yeah, if you help it a little bit, it will fall down as designed. And then it is a little bit tricky to drive, but I don't really think that's a bad thing, because forklifts tend to be a bit more difficult to drive in real life too. So for me, that is fine. That is basically the set. As I said before, the things to pay attention about when building is the cabling and the front partition, because this sleigh in here, it has to slide up and down perfectly. If like any pin is sticking out a little bit, or there are like the large pieces are not perfectly aligned, it will get stuck on that. There's the one thing, and the other thing is up here you'll have these strings. These will make the front part go up. So if you pull that up, it'll also pull the actual fork upwards. You are being told to measure the strings for a specific length, but also make sure that if you tie them to these pins, that the distance after tying them to them, not the distance, the length of these after tying them is very similar. Otherwise, you might risk ripping one of these threads because, or like especially with heavier loads, because then the load is not split between those strings and the entire weight of whatever you're loading with that is only put on one string. That is anything else. I mean, it's a Technic set. There's not that much of a design. You can obviously see that it's a forklift, it works, it drives around, you can annoy your cat, your co-worker, your kids, your parents, whoever you want to annoy with that thing. That's going to work perfectly, and that is exactly what I'm going to be using that for. So in the end, it does its duty. I also thought about getting the bigger one, but there was one difference between them, apart from size and price, obviously, that made me get the smaller one. And the difference is the smaller one comes with a remote control. And I really prefer the sets that have a remote control and are not exclusively controlled via app. But in the end, I think that's about it. Like, the design is cool. The wheel turn radius, I mean, that is pretty nice. It is remote controlled, which is fun. Part quality, nothing to argue about, like flawless as kind of being used to with MouldKing Technic brakes. So there's nothing arguing about that. In the end, for me, a really fun set to build. Like, some of the notes, just for other companies from Scandinavia to take there. Don't know if you can spot any like blue pins or something like that, like any pin color that doesn't belong there. I can't, and I like that. Cool. So in the end, it's a great set, it's a cool set, I really like that, I'll have a ton of fun with it. Is everything that I wanted to say. The only thing that's left to be said is bye, and the brake bye.